I am Neil.
I'm Veronica. We fell in love when we were 16, and here we are talking about what life is all about for us. Thank you for joining us.
This is a Life Is podcast with Neil and Veronica.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Life Is with Neil and Veronica, where if you've joined us on the regular, thank you very much. But you've noticed that we have been absent for the last few number of weeks with some good reason. One, Veronica and I did some traveling, which was very nice. We got to explore new parts of the world, which we love to do and would love to do more of in the future. But also there were some job changes and just, life stuff happening. So we took a little break, unexpectedly, unannounced, but we're back once a week again with you here, talking about different parts of life and what it is to us. So today, Veronica and I thought it would be very fitting to talk about life is refueling. So there are those times in your life where, and we've talked about seasons, we've talked about that, but specifically when it comes to refueling and like, let's say longer breaks or times where you just need to unplug from certain aspects of things. It's very beneficial to listen to what's going on around you, listen to what's going on in your health and your mind and your body, because when you're in tune with that and you just know when you need to do and step back from what you're doing, let's say, it really gives you the opportunity to come back maybe stronger or with a different viewpoint or what have you. So life is about refueling and taking that time to maybe take one step back to take 2 or 3 steps forward.
I'm pausing there because I really love what you just said. Sometimes you can take a step back or just pause where you are to give you more energy to take, a leap forward or a few steps or whatever that is. And first of all, we missed you all. And I think that Neil and I missed having these times dedicated to just sit and chat. I mean, there were no, shortages of our kitchen conversations, or like Neil mentioned, we were away. So we were having like balcony conversations and car conversations because we were driving quite a bit as well during certain times. But it's so important to think about refueling because, first of all, do you even intentionally take the time to refuel? I know I didn't for a very long time. And part of that also is thinking about what fills you up and what does it mean to refuel? And does it mean that you're filling up like a full tank? Does it mean that you're like kind of topping up here and there? So when do you need to refuel? What do you need to refuel with? Or like what is going to help you in refueling? And are you in tune with those, like notifications or those indications that you do need to refuel? And are you like hitting that button, like the ignore button? And, sometimes we feel really depleted where we're not taking the option to refuel anymore, but it's no longer an option. And now our body or our minds or something else is essentially forcing us to refuel, which sometimes takes even longer. So, happy to say that the break that we took was elective in a sense. We decided to do that. But really important to talk about refueling because like I mentioned, I ignored like all the signals for a very long time. Like I ignored all the check engine lights in a sense, not even like the refuel indicator. It was like, there is something more that's happening. Like the whole check engine, all the lights on the dashboard are going off. And I was like, no, there's just like a malfunction, like technological thing happening. That's not real. I don't need to refuel. I'm totally fine. And is it like, are you really? So, learning a few things about myself and what fills me up and how important it is because we heard time and time again, especially in the pandemic, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. Yeah, I know. To the certain point where it's like, okay, that's annoying now. But, I think we talked about this too in a previous podcast, and I feel like it's been so long and it's really nice to be back to talk about things and what life is to us and all of those different pieces, but really learning about like what refuels.
Yep. And, we are in the summer break of the school year for our kids. They are just starting their summer break. And it made me think of how that is almost a refueling time for them to step back from being in a learning environment, 5 days a week in, week out. There's the odd break here or there. But really, these 2 months are a chance for them to mentally refuel. And refueling could mean a lot of different things. It's not necessarily that you're stopping yourself and just, sitting around. It's not necessarily that you are removing yourself from everything. It could just mean that you're shifting your energies into something that fuels you in a different way, right? And when I think about our kids or kids in general going from, being around the same friend group and in a learning environment day in, day out, and they shift from, let's say, to a camp environment where they're meeting new friends and they're trying new activities or they're trying something different. So then I think about what that does when they have a change in their mental energy or a refueling of a different kind, in spending that time in summer break doing more free, like more doing things more freely, whether it's going to the park, whether it's going to the water park, whatever it may be, camping, whatever summer activities they have planned. It just is less structured in a sense, and it creates a different environment. And then they come back, and maybe you can relate to this, Veronica. I know I can. That excitement for that first day of school is like, it's energizing. They've had the chance to be away from their group of friends. They're going into a new year, a new experience, a new environment in maybe a new school, coming from, maybe an elementary to a secondary school. And it's just that time away to refuel in a different way allows them to come back excited, energized, and ready for a new aspect of a learning environment. So that made me think about, again, refueling in the sense of doing something different, but not necessarily fully stepping back from your time in that capacity.
Yeah, I think like summer break is a great example, and it's great that they have the opportunity to do so many different things. Actually, it was in summer break where our oldest daughter discovered one of her greatest passions now. And I think there's an underlying message there of when you take the time to explore, to do other things, to like jump into something that you maybe normally wouldn't do, that number one, of course, that can refuel you or just fill you up in general. But number two is that, maybe you'll discover something that you might not have if you didn't give yourself like the opportunity to, in a sense. So, I mean, it's different for the kiddos because, of course, I mean, now they're older. So we do give them the option. Like, our son's really excited to go to Nerf camp and ninja camp. And our youngest went to the dentist today, and that was really fun for her. She told me all about wearing sunglasses and, picking from the treasure chest and everything else. That has nothing to do with summer break. But I think it's just the underlying message of, we've said this before, taking the space that you might need or just slowing down a little bit. And that's okay. And even in us taking this break, like, yes, sometimes when you slow down, or sometimes if you come to full stop, you lose momentum, or you can think that you lose momentum. But like Neil said, sometimes when you pause or when you stop, or sometimes you do have to take a step back or 5 steps back, but it could give you the energy to propel forward because you've given yourself the chance to fill up in other ways and to spend time with other people or whatever it is. So for me, I know I get really filled up. Okay, number one, I did this the other day. This is really simple. So, whereas Neil was talking about like a full 2-month break or whatever that is, I saw a meme just now where it said like adults should go to summer camp and you could just sleep for 3 weeks, which made me laugh out loud a little bit. But the other day, what I did is I realized I love the morning sun. there is something about the morning sun that I find really energizing. And so I made myself a drink. It was matcha, not like a drink, but I made myself a drink and I went outside because it was a beautiful sunny day and I sat there for just 5 minutes and I just soaked up the morning sun like on my face and I felt like it made a world of a difference. And so something simple like that. I heard you take a breath, so go for it.
So, in the whole sense of refueling, there's a scientific like basis behind this, right? And we've talked about resetting your circadian rhythm and the things that you can do to your advantage to set your body in the right path for that. And one of the ones that scientific experts have put out there is getting out as early as you can in the first part of the day and getting morning sun. Because what it does is it gives your body the chance to set itself up for the day and to make sure that you have the chance to refuel later in the day. You can talk about refueling in the sense of daily, right? There's more than just let's say seasonal. There's daily. There's week. You could break down refueling into even the parts of your day and scheduling a refueling break, whatever it is. Refueling covers so many different aspects. And I love that you brought up getting out into the morning sun because it will set up your body for success scientifically to refuel during the proper times of the day. So I'm glad that you've done that and taken that because it will really benefit you when it comes to your daily refueling and onwards into other aspects of that.
I remember why I miss these conversations so much because I'll just talk about something and you'll just come in and talk about something scientific that you read about it. And I was kind of giggling a little bit when you were talking about that and resetting circadian rhythm because those of you that know me know that I have horrible sleep patterns and sleep hygiene, which, yes, I know is so important. I keep telling myself it's like the last puzzle piece of my health journey. But I was like, oh, maybe that's why it felt so nice. Is because my body's like, ooh, you're enjoying some morning sun. But yeah, there's something about like why we've said this before, why the hustle culture, like why do we feel the need to go, go, go? And, something that I've learned even, yeah, I think you just talked about, I don't even know what this would qualify as, like if it's daily refueling, but in my work day, I used to think like, go, go, go. Like, don't take breaks. Don't get up and get a glass of water. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, don't do that. And I realized actually, if I built in more, even like smaller breaks, like bio breaks, get up, and what's really nice actually about the workplace culture that I'm in is even like people talk about this. They're like, oh, okay, gift of time in a sense, like we'll finish a meeting early, like 5 or 10 minutes, and they're like, go outside, get some fresh air. And even the one day, I feel like I keep sharing the story, but it's so true though. Like I was saying, I really don't feel great today. I don't know what it is. And my director said, have you been outside today? And like that happens where you're like, what time is it? Have I even had breakfast? It's like 3 p.m. I don't even know how that happened. So that's one thing that I've discovered that is really just really refreshing, really refueling for me, and something really simple, right? Someone even said, like, if you go check the mail, just like walk slower and soak up some more sunshine or listen to the birds chirping or something. But what is something that you do like to refuel?
For refueling, well, I guess it depends on if you're talking about daily. For me, I find the time before the kids wake up, I like to have that set my day, and it really, I guess, refuels or sets my day off where I just have a few moments to gather myself before things start off, right? The morning routine of, getting ready for school and stuff like that. I would say throughout the day, making sure that I have certain time periods where I am eating, making sure that I have the right number of drinks of water per day and setting those specific habits up for that. When it comes to refueling on a longer term aspect, I really think it's just making sure that you use those benefits of having time off if you like in your certain, if your job allows for that, and knowing that that's part of your benefits of your job, right? And not thinking that you're taking away from your job. Like, I know for the longest time, and Veronica, you can relate to this, is I thought that taking time off or using my vacation was a sign of like my uncommitment or not being committed to my job, let's say. And there was a mindset shift, and I can't pinpoint where, but I know that you had a big aspect in changing that for me, where taking the time off that you are given by your job is necessary for you to do your best work and allows you to refuel in whatever way. And whether it's taking 2 or 3 days here or there, or taking week-long time off to have a full refuel, whatever works for you, you will find that out. That's what I would say has been a big change for me in knowing that I not only deserve that, but I need that to be able to perform at my best when it comes to doing my day in and day out job. But not only that, my evening job and weekend job of having the kids and, having a relationship, right? Because if I'm putting all my time and energy into work, well, that's not going to allow me to have the fuel left over at the end of the day or on the weekends, because that's when I'm going to be needing to refuel. And like, there's again an integration of both of those, right? You need to be able to shift your energy and presence throughout a day, week, month, year between the two. And I want to just talk again about like knowing the signs, and you talked about ignoring the signs of when your body is saying to take a step back. Because, I went through a period in a previous few jobs where I didn't really listen to the signs, and it pushed myself to the point where I needed to be off. I needed to take care of myself. And it allowed me to know when I was heading in that direction. Most recently, I was heading in that direction again. And, I stopped what I was doing before I got to that point of pure exhaustion or burnout or whatever term you want to use, and allowed me to reassess what I was doing in my career path. And really, it was that time that I took to allow myself to think about taking this new job that I just most recently started. And I'm really glad that I listened to what was going on before I got to the point of pure exhaustion or like an empty tank, whatever again term you want to use, because it allowed me to have the energy to focus on myself, to be able to think about where am I really heading with this, and put my energy into what mattered most, which was my family and you, and then focus on, okay, where do I want to shift to next to be able to holistically have everything give me energy again.
Well, I think you touched on something that's really important, is that it almost sounded like you felt guilty, right, for taking time off. And I think we
Yep.
all feel that. I mean, I don't know if I would classify it as guilty or whatever that emotion is that, goes along with it. But the mindset shift now that like refueling is necessary. Like we need it. Because actually, like if you think of a car, you can only go so far. And even you said actually the other day, I can't remember what it was, but we were talking about like even my health journey. And you were like, well, would you put that in? Like you need premium fuel. Like, you got to just go for it, and you have to like invest in that because, you have like one body in a sense. But it's like we have that vacation time for a reason. Like if you do, have that as part of your job. Part of my job, actually, we have 2 mandatory mental health days, which I think is so necessary because when we first found out about having mental health days, and, you know, a lot of people like would not take them, right? Like even finding out, I was like, oh, okay, well, what classifies as that? And like, should I take them? And it was like, no, it's mandatory. You need to take them. Everybody needs to take them. It's like an even playing field kind of thing in a sense, right? And that's like sometimes when you don't recognize your own signs that you need to refuel, you know, it's amazing when those around you, your loved ones, your colleagues, whatever that is, sometimes, they're the ones sometimes to like kind of shine a light on already the indicator that's happening with you to say like, okay, maybe you need a break or maybe you need to refuel. And, you know, it's not like a 2-week vacation all the time or whatever that is. Sometimes it is 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or, you know, it could be just taking a pause. Like you said, like, go get a glass of water. Like, since when was that a thing to not do or to feel bad about or to feel like you're taking away? Again, I feel like it's that mindset of if I do this, it takes away from something else. So if I take the time to refuel, I'm not taking the time to propel forward in something, let's say, at the exact same time. Because, I mean, truthfully, you can't do both at the exact same time. But, you know, the kids, we watched Turbo over the weekend. And that, like, that visual just came to mind about, you know, racing and like the pit crew. And here's me not knowing proper terminology about anything. But like, again, it was like 200 laps they had to do or something like that in the movie. And I was like, well, that's a lot. Here's me. I'm like, go Turbo, you cute little snail. But like, you have to refuel. It's just not possible to just like keep going. And I feel like along the way, for some reason, we've pushed through things, or we thought there was strength in pushing through, or we thought there was strength in like continuing to go. Right. So, okay, here's a story. Here's another story. I don't know if you have anything to say about Turbo, but I have a story. Do you have anything to say about Turbo?
No, I love that movie. I don't think it gets enough love. That's all I gotta say.
I know. And here I am, like, just so in the moment. We're like, go Turbo, like near the end. So last year, I went to a conference with Sarah and Kevin, and I'm driving Sarah's car. Okay. We're on like a major highway or freeway or again, whatever you call them. Okay. It's like 6 lanes and like a collector's lane of another 4 lanes. And we were talking for so long and just like having a great time and connecting. And all of a sudden, I realized the indicator light was on for like to refuel. And I'm in like the far left lane. Okay, here's another tidbit about me. Okay, like which lane do you drive in when you're driving on the freeway? I'm a far left laner. Anyways, so the light goes on and I'm like, Sarah, what does this mean? Because sometimes, again, okay, light goes on when you have like X number of kilometers, like 75, 50 kilometers left, right? Which is like somewhat decent. And then for some vehicles, it starts like flashing a little bit more urgently, like as you're getting a little bit lower. And I'm laughing because, okay, so Sarah's like reaching over. She's in the passenger side. She's reaching over. She's like pressing buttons to try to see like, you know, the actual indicator of like how many kilometers left. Okay. Cause again, here's like that visual, like the indicator comes on, you know, you need to refuel. And like, you know, in this situation, the car's actually telling us like how many kilometers left. And she presses the button and I can't remember exactly. I'm pretty sure it said like 0. And we're far left. Okay. And like where we are, there's not like an easy off ramp or a gas station that you can just like pull over and refuel. So I'm like starting to hysterically laugh because I have like no other reaction at this point. And I'm pretty sure Kahan in the back was like, what is so funny? I'm like, oh, I don't know, you know, do. I don't know if anyone else drives like that. I drive like that. I make a lot of sounds. So like, just like trying to slowly merge over. Anyways, I'm giving you a lot of detail in this story. All to say, everyone's like, and like, did you make it? Did you have to call a tow truck? Did you get stuck on this like 6-lane highway, freeway, whatever? No. Okay. So and like amazingly, because I drove on this highway, oh my gosh, Neil, like how long ago was it? It was a very long time. But I somehow had like muscle memory, I guess, of like where we were. And I was like, okay, I think I know where we are. So yes, we found a gas station, we refueled, it was fine. But I was like, that is not happening again. And, it's like when other people in this example, like other people are in the car, it was like a little bit more serious, right? There's like other people that like I'm kind of responsible for. So I feel like in life, right? Like as a mother, we're so used to pouring into our children and putting them first, but like it's even more important that we take the time to refuel ourselves because there's other people in a sense, or like other, I don't know, little lives that we're like responsible for. So that's why for me, essentially, like I'm on my journey of becoming the healthiest that I could possibly be and committing to that. But I just like recall that story. I had to tell it because I feel like it's just such a great visual of just like in life and like the indicator lights. And sometimes they flash a little bit brighter, and how like sometimes you're like, oh no, okay, a little bit of an emergency here. We're at like 0 kilometers left.
Yeah. I remember that story. It was, I mean, I'm sure going through it was a little bit different and you were able to tell the story with a happy ending. But yeah, um, we try as much as we possible to model, an integration of, things that we like to do on our own, things that we like to do together, with the help of your parents. And, we like to model doing things together as a family, right? But also like now that the kids are getting older, allowing them to model things that they want to do on their own separately, whether it's activities, friend groups, what have you. I think it's really important because there, for a time, and I know it's still ongoing, a very you know pressurized, a lot of spotlight on people that work long hours, that do, all the things, don't take vacations like we said. They're very, put on this pedestal in a sense of like, this is what you need to do to be successful. When, we've always talked about you determine what success is for you in your life, and you don't have to compare yourself to others' success and what society deems successful. So I think that's really important to just know that this is what we're talking about in refueling, is that the whole heightened hustle culture that we've, talked about before is not what you need to do if that's what you want to be like successful in your life. And I remember specifically in one job interview back when I was going from, one job to another early on in my career, and specifically highlighting how many hours per week I used to work in my previous job to be able to show how hard I would work going into this job, and almost like as a badge of honor. And, there's, stories that I've talked about where, I've worked through illnesses and all that stuff. And it wasn't the right way to go about refueling myself to be able to perform and grow and learn and lead and all those things that go along with for what I want to be successful, both in my job and in my family and in my relationship. So I think it's really, timely that we've talked about refueling coming off of this, sort of break that we chose to do, because we're heading into summer. It's peak vacation time where people are able to take advantage of long weekends and to take advantage of the beautiful weather. and to just really, again, refuel, whether it's within your day, within a week, within, this summer time frame, because it's very nice. So with that being said, we'd like to thank everybody who has still reached out to us over the last few weeks and month plus, letting us know that they still listen to previous podcasts, previous episodes that resonate with them. I know a few people have reached out to Veronica and they've said that it's what they've needed to hear at the right time in their life. And that's exactly why we do this, not only for us to have these moments to connect, but to hopefully resonate with a moment in time in your life and give you something to hear that you can take with you moving on. So thank you as always for that feedback. We truly appreciate every person that listens, reaches out, and allows us to continue to share our message.